Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai Prabhupada.
Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrata Jai Sata Shri Srimad Padisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Glories to simple devotees.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Glories to Shri Guru. Glories to Guru. Glories to Srila Prabhupada.
You get a glass of me.
Can you hear Prabhuji?
What jacket you got on, man?
Huh?
What kind of jacket is that?
It's two jackets. This is a vest.
Prabhu, were you able to hear before?
Huh?
Was it on mute? Were you able to hear before?
No, I was muted. I can hear you guys fine.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 16, verse number 3 and 4. Okay. Yaha tu etayoho dritaha dandaha bhavadibhi mam anuvratai shaha eva anumataha ashmabhihi munayaha deva helanat yastwetayor drito dando bhavad bir mamanuvratai saeva matosmabir Munayo Deva Helanat Yastvetayor Dito Dando Bhavad Bir Mam Anuvratai Saevanu Matosmabir Munayo Deva Helanat. Yastvetayortrito dando
Yastvetayo dando.
Dando.
Bhavad bir mamanurati
Bhavad bhirmama navrati.
Anuvrataihi.
Saevanu matoshma vir
Saevanumatosmabhir.
Munayo deva helana
Munayo deva helanat. Yastvetayo dando.
Yastvetayortrito dando
Bhavad bhirmama nuvratai.
Bhavad bir mamanurati
Saevanumatosmabhir.
Saevanu matoshma vir
Munayo deva helanat.
Munayo deva helanat
Yastvayetayorvito dando
Yastvetayortrito dando
bhavadbhirmamanuvrataihi
Bhavad bir mamanurati
sevanumatosmabhir
Saevatu moshma vir
munayo deva helana
Munayo deva helanat
Yastevayorjita dando
Yastvetayo dando.
Divadvir mamanuvrataha
Bhavad bhirmama nuvratai.
Sa ivanu matosmavir
Saevanumatosma vir
Munayo deva helana
Munayo deva helanat
Yastvayetayorvritando.
Yastvetayortrito dando
Bhavadbhirmamanuvrataihi.
Bhavad bir mamanurati
Saevanumatosmabhir.
Saevanumatosma vir
Munayo deva helanat.
Munayo deva helanat.
Yaha
Yaha.
which
Which?
to
To.
but
But.
etayoho
Itayoho.
regarding both Jai and Vijay
Regarding both Vijay and Vijay.
Dritaha
Dritaha
has been given
has been given.
Dandaha
Dandaha.
punishment
Punishment.
Bhavadbihi
Bhavad bhihi.
by you
By you.
Mom
Mom.
me
Me.
Anuvratai
Anuvratai.
devoted to
Devoted to.
Saha
Saha.
that
That.
Eva
Eva.
certainly
Certainly.
Anumataha
Anumataha
is approved
is approved.
Ashmabihi
Asmabhihi.
by me
By me.
Munayaha
Munayaha.
O great sages
O great sages.
Deva
Deva.
against you
Against you.
Elanat
Elanat.
because of an offense
Because of an offense.
Purport I'm sorry translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada O great sages I approve of the punishment that you who are devoted to me have meted out to them. Okay, I'm going to the next verse. This is verse number 4. I'll just chant it. Tadva prasadayam yam yadya brahma daivam param hime tadityatma kritam manye yatsva pumbir ashatkrita. To me, the brahmanas is the To me, the brahmana is the highest and most beloved personality. The disrespect shown by my attendants has actually been displayed by me because the doormen are my servitors. I take this to be an offense by myself. Therefore, I seek your forgiveness for the incident that has arisen. Purport. The Lord is always in favor of the brahmanas and the cows, and therefore it is said, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. Lord Krishna, or Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always a worshipful deity of the brahmanas. In the Vedic literature, in the Rig mantra hymns of the Rig Veda, it is stated that those who are actually brahmanas always look to the lotus feet of Vishnu. Om Tat Vishnu Param Padam Sada Pashanti Surayaha. Those who are qualified brahmanas worship only the Vishnu form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which means Krishna, Rama, and all Vishnu expansions. A so-called brahmana who is born in the family of brahmanas but performs activities aimed against the Vaishnavas cannot be accepted as a Brahmana because Brahmana means Vaishnava and Vaishnava means Brahmana. This is very important. A so-called Brahmana who is born in the family of Brahmanas but perform activities aimed against the Vaishnavas cannot be accepted as a Brahmana because Brahmana means Vaishnava and Vaishnava means Brahmana. One who has become a devotee of the Lord is also a Brahmana. The formula is Brahma Jana Titi Brahmanaha. A Brahmana is one who has understood Brahman, and a Vaishnava is one who has understood the personality of Godhead. Brahman realization is the beginning of realization of the personality of Godhead. One who understands the personality of Godhead also knows the impersonal feature of the Supreme, which is Brahman. Therefore, one who becomes a Vaishnava is already a Brahmana. It should be noted that the glories of the Brahmanas described in this chapter by the Lord himself refer to his devotee Brahmana or the Vaishnava. It should never be misunderstood that the so-called Brahmanas who are born in Brahminical families but have no Brahminical qualifications are referred to in this connection. Oh my God, it's a Ande Om Shri Guru Shri Om Shri Guru Vishnu Om Sa Shri Guru Sagar Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Hey Krishna Karuna Namo Om Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminti Namine Bhujayati Vikaso Bhakti Purva Tendra Namo Om Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deva Gaur Bhajani Nirvisi Sujuni Vadipasata Desitarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama
Rama
Rama Hare Hare.
I'll read verse 3 and 4 again. Verse 3, O great sages, I approve of the punishment that you are devoted to me, that you who are devoted to me have meted out to them. Verse 4, to me the Brahmana is the highest and most beloved personality. The disrespect shown by my attendants has actually been displayed by me because the doormen are my servitors. I take this to be an offense by myself, therefore I seek your forgiveness for the incident that has arisen. This is a pretty interesting, this is Lord Krishna is talking, and Krishna is saying that the offense that Vijay committed against the four Kumaras, he's taking responsibility for it. So, and the Supreme Lord is apologizing to the four Kumaras. It's pretty bewildering, but we have to understand. Well, two things. One thing you can take from this is that the devotee who is completely surrendered to Krishna and the devotee who Krishna recognizes as a Vaishnava, the activities of such a person is reflected upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when we go out, we distribute books. When we speak to people, when we have classes, everything we're doing is reflected upon Krishna because we represent Krishna. So anything that comes upon, I don't know what just happened.
Go back to the swipe right.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, so anything that happens, that the devotees do, the Supreme Lord would take responsibility for it because we represent the Supreme Lord. So it's very imperative that we come to the level of being a Vaishnava, before I get into the main topic, which means the Brahmana, we have to understand that whatever activities we perform in the Krishna conscious movement, the common person will follow. That whatever action a great man performs, the common men follow. And who is great in this material world? The great person is a Vaishnava. The Vaishnava is great because they are able to distinguish matter from illusion. So by nature, even I think Bodhisattva Saraswati Thakur said this. I might be mistaken, but he says that even the neophyte ringing the bell in the temple is more advanced than thousands of yogis who just meditate on the impersonal Brahman. Right? Bhaisana Saraswati Thakur said that, right? I'm pretty sure. Anyways, I think either him or Srila Prabhupada.
Yes.
But the point is, yeah, that's what I thought. So the point is that the devotee is so exalted because they have attained the topmost level of realization. You have Brahman realization, you have the Paramatma, then you have the Bhagavan. And the devotee has surpassed all so-called bogus meditators and yogis. So it's imperative that we act in such a way that whatever activity we perform, common people will follow our example. And when we act like imbeciles and we act like gross materialists, people will look towards us and be like, oh, you see these monks in the Christian consciousness movement or whatever the Yahas in the Christian movement, you see, they're disrespecting each other. There are so many schisms. So, we have it, but they're also doing it. You see these monks are acting up, whatever. So we act up. What's the problem? But if we set an ideal standard, if we set a high standard, then, and when people look up to us, they're bound to follow us. But the essence of this purport, in verse number 4, Srila Prabhupada says that the Lord is always in favor of the Brahmanas and the cows, and therefore he says, go Brahmanitaya cha. So, Krishna is always in favor of the Brahmanas. Krishna is always in favor of this Brahminical culture. The spiritual master is always in favor of this Brahminical culture, right? Because this Brahminical culture is ultimately is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chaturvarna Mahashreshtam. Krishna creates the 4 varnas. He created this Brahminical culture for persons to come up and come closer to him. And when I first read this, the first thing I thought about was Sudama Brahmana. That was the first pastime I was thinking about. Because you see how much Krishna favors Sudama Brahmana. He didn't. Sudama Brahmana didn't have a pot to piss in. That's a famous English saying. He had a pot to piss in. Just means that he was so broke that he wanted to get something. He wanted to get. Is a common English saying. But he didn't. He was so broke that he wanted to give something to Krishna because he was going to visit the Lord. And the only thing he can bring was a bag of chipped rice. His low quality rice. That's all he had. I think he got this from. I think his wife had to beg for it. It was. But you see how much love Krishna gave this Brahmana, and I want to just read a little bit of that pastime. So this is in the Krishna book. Srila Prabhupada writes, the Brahmana thought. This is Sudama Brahmana saying, the Brahmana thought, it is most pleasurable to see Lord Krishna, who is most devoted to the Brahmanas. How great a lover he is of the Brahminical culture. He is the supreme Brahmin himself, yet he reciprocates with the Brahmanas. He also respects the Brahmanas so much that he embraced to his chest such a poor Brahmana as me, although he never embraces anyone to his chest except the goddess of fortune. He considered me his real brother. How can I appreciate my obligation to him? When I was tired, Srimati Rukmini Devi, the goddess of fortune, began to fan me, holding the chamar whisk in her hand. She never considered her exalted position as the first queen of Lord Krishna. I was rendered service by the Supreme Person Godhead because of his high regard for the Brahmanas. This is amazing. Krishna is literally, because one thing is like, okay, read Prabhupada's purports. Prabhupada says in this purport we read today that Krishna serves the Brahmanas. Okay, yeah. But then you actually see this in Krishna book. Krishna literally is massaging the feet of a so-called poor Brahmana, and the goddess of fortune is fanning him. So just see, this Brahminical culture is so powerful that the goddess of fortune herself will render service to the Brahmanas. And this is what we're trying to establish by this farm community. We're trying to establish a Brahminical culture. And we don't have to worry about so many things. We don't have to worry about, okay, what about food? What about this? What about that? All we have to do is carry out our duties given to us by our spiritual master, and naturally all opulence will come. And it's not like we're expecting opulence. We don't expect, like Sudama Brahmana, he didn't expect anything from Krishna. He just went because he wanted to see the Lord, get darshan of the Lord, and render service to the Lord. He went with the mood of, I want to serve the Lord. I want to see my friend. And when he left, He got all opulences without expecting it. So we shouldn't go on this farm project expecting, yes, you know, we're gonna have the best project ever, and I mean, undoubtedly it's gonna happen. But the point is, we should go in with the mood of, I'm just going to surrender. I'm going to come. I want to surrender to Krishna, right? It says in Bhagavad Gita, those who act without attachment to result, they're transiently situated. They're transiently situated, right? In one sense, yes, there is going to be a lot of openness in this project. There is going to be a lot of people, they're already signing up, right? But it's not that we should expect, oh, you know, things are going wrong. What the hell, Krishna? You know, I'm surrendering to you, Krishna. Why is this happening to me? You know, why is this project not flourishing in the first 2 years? What's going on? No, we should have the mood of Sudama Brahmana. Sudama Brahmana, he didn't have the mood of, yes, I'm going to get openness. He didn't have that mood. He had the mood of strictly going to render service to the Lord and seeing the Lord, and the Lord fully reciprocated with them. So this is our mood we should have when going into this farm project. We should go in the mood of, why are we establishing this project? To reestablish Varnashram Dharma, specifically Brahminical culture, right? Specifically, we have to set a high standard. This Brahminical culture is important in the spiritual conscious movement, because especially now in ISKCON, it's severely lacking. This Brahminical culture is lacking like anything. And what is it? What is this Brahminical culture? Ultimately, it just means, you know, it was mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Shamo Dhammas Tabashocham Shantir Arjavam Evacha Gyanam Vijnanam Astikyam Brahma Karma Shvabhavajam. That peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness, these are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work. This is the culture we're trying to cultivate on these farms. We're trying to cultivate peacefulness, simple living, high thinking. We're trying to cultivate an atmosphere where we're not bewildered by the temptations of the modern materialistic civilization. We're trying to introduce a culture of self-control, you know, controlling our senses, having, you know, a control of not overindulging in sense gratification, austerity, that, you know, giving up things that are not conducive for our self-realization and accepting things that are favorable for our self-realization. You know, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge. This is Brahminical culture, and it's imperative that we introduce this, because it's in Christian conscious movement right now. It's severely lacking. And one person that I was thinking about, me and Abi Manasudu, I'm not gonna drop his name, but he came visiting Christian life, and he had a thread on his shoulder, Brahmin thread on his shoulder, but he was telling us how, yeah, he's got married. He's like, yeah, you know, my wife, she cooks sometimes, but, you know, she also likes to go out and eat. So yeah, we go out to eat sometimes. Remember this? Yeah. He was like, yeah, you know, we go out to eat sometimes. And me and Abi were like, why do you go to restaurants? And first of all, you're a Brahmana. You shouldn't be going to restaurants in the first place. And second, why do you think like it's necessary to go there? He was like, well, Christian consciousness itself, you know, it's only so much enjoyment you can get from it, you know. He was saying like, yeah, you need a little bit more enjoyment. So my wife, you know, we like a little bit more entertainment. So yeah, we might go to the theater, or we might go to the restaurant. It's vegetarian though. It's vegetarian, you know, and because you know we need that excitement in our life. And it just shows that these are the quality of Brahmanas that ISKCON is reducing. This is the quality of Brahmanas. They're reducing the quality of Brahmanas who have no taste in the holy name at all, who think that you need enjoyment outside of chanting Hare Krishna. And the different classifications of devotees, you know, the Kanishta Adhikari, you know, they you know, ultimately they worship the deity, right? But they have no respect for this Brahminical culture. They have no respect for the chanting a holy name, and they can't appreciate the qualities of a Vaishnava. They don't know how to act. They don't know how to appreciate this Brahminical culture. The Ganesha Adhikari doesn't have the spiritual intelligence for that, right? But real Brahmanas is not. They're supposed to come higher than just Kanishta Adhikaris. They're supposed to, you know, at least come to the platform of preachers and Majjhima Adhikaris. So this Brahminical culture, ultimately, it can be instilled by proper deliberation of the sastras. A Brahmana is supposed to be expert in studying the scripture. They're supposed to know the sastras. They're supposed to be expert in understanding the conclusion of the sastras, right? And in this purport today, Prabhupada makes a very interesting point. He says that one who becomes a Vaishnava is already a Brahmana. And it says that, Prabhupada says that because a Brahmana means a Vaishnava, a Vaishnava means a Brahmana. So you see in India, you see so many people walk around, so-called Brahmanas with deaths on their shoulders, right? And they're worshiping demigods. They're not worshiping Krishna, but they might worship Krishna on the side. They might worship, Ganesh, Shiva, Subramanyam, all these demigods, and Krishna just another person they worship, But according to this, what Prabhupada is saying, they're not actually real Brahmanas. Because a Brahmana means a Vaishnava. So they're not actually real Brahmanas. I mean, it's clear. It's clear as day. Although I'm not expert in sastras, although I impose my own speculations, it's very clear Prabhupada is saying right here that so-called Brahmana who's born in the family of Brahmanas performs activities aimed against the Vaishnavas cannot be accepted as a Brahmana. So although they might have a thread on their shoulder, although they might be even practicing Brahminical culture in some sense, because they're worshiping demigods, they're not considered Brahmanas in the true sense of the term. And in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Bhagavad Gita, in Bhagavad Gita text 7 verse 20, Kamash tash hita gyanaha prapadyante anya devataha tam tam niyamam astaya prakritim niyata swaya. Krishna says, those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender to demigods and follow particular rules and regulations, worship according to the natures. So Brahmana means one who's intelligent. But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Hita Gyanaha, deprived of knowledge. Those who worship demigods are deprived of intelligence. So you cannot be considered a Brahmana if you're deprived of intelligence. If you surrender to demigods, you're worshiping demigods. Even Krishna is saying you can't actually be considered a Brahmana in the true sense of the term. But a Vaishnava is considered a Brahmana because a Vaishnava understands that 15:15. Sarvam again Pohanam Cha. Vedasha Sarva Hema Eva video. Yeah, Vedasha Sarva Hema Eva video. So the Brahmana knows, a Vaishnava knows that the conclusion of all the Vedas is surrender to Krishna, right? So because the Vaishnava knows that surrender to Krishna is the goal of all the Vedas, he's actually the most intelligent. He's most intelligent. He's actually considered a Brahmana, as Prabhupada is saying in this purport. He's actually considered a Brahmana. Because, also in the Brahma Buddha Prashan Natmana Soshina Kanshri Samasar Veshi Buddha do Matbhakti Labate Param, that, the Brahma Buddha stage, ultimately that's like the impersonal realization. Prabhupada writes that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He quotes his verse actually, this Brahma Buddha Prashan Natmana. He quotes this in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he translates Brahma Buddha. He translates that as being free from material desires, but still attached to the impersonal conception, right? So the Brahma Buddha stage, Prabhupada also writes that Brahma Buddha stage in Krishna consciousness, that's just the beginning. After you come to Brahma Buddha stage, after being free from material desires, you have to hear more so you can understand how to render service to Bhagavan, this being personality Godhead. So ultimately, the Brahmanas, they're situated on this, they can be on the Brahma Buddha stage. They can have realization of the impersonal conception that they're not the body, the spirit, soul, right? But you see that Prabhupada writes in Charitamrita that a Brahmana who is not a Vaishnava is bound to fall down and commit offenses. And I was reading this, Abhiman Sutra Prabhu and I were reading this pastime the other day in Chaitanya Charitamrita with Amoga and who is the son-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And Amoga was a Brahmana, but what happened was Lord Chaitanya was taking prasadam, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya made a big feast, sumptuous feast for Lord Chaitanya, and Amoga, being a Brahmana on the Brahma Buddha stage, but not fully realizing who Lord Chaitanya was, he criticized Lord Chaitanya. He said, "A sannyasi shouldn't be eating like this. Just see, a sannyasi is supposed to be regulated in his eating and in his habits, but he's eating so much. He pretty much blasphemed the Lord. So he caught cholera." And Prabhupada writes in the purport that a Brahmana who doesn't surrender to Vaishnava is bound to commit offenses and fall down. And we were just reading that yesterday. We were reading that yesterday. Rishi Kumar was making that with the point of offenses. I mean, it's in the verse yesterday. When you commit offenses against the Vaishnavas, you fall down into hellish condition. We're reading Chaitanya Amrita that when you commit offenses to Vaishnavas, you lose all opulence, all prosperity, and even your sons. I was like, oh my God, even your sons? Yes, even your sons. You lose everything by offending the Vaishnavas. And these Brahmanas, so-called Brahmanas, who are not Vaishnavas, they just end up committing offenses. And they end up just falling down in hellish conditions. Because they have no real understanding of who is worshipable. They're not intelligent to distinguish who is truly to be worshipped. When Prabhupada first made his Western Brahmanas, he got so much backlash in India because they couldn't realize that a Vaishnava is a real Brahmana. They could not understand this because they so attached to this caste consciousness. And this caste consciousness is basically just ignorance, actually, because you're completely ignoring the fact of you're not the body. You completely get absorbed in this concept of I'm the body. Yes, I'm a Brahmana. I'm a Brahmana. Being too attached to the idea of you becoming a Brahmana or being a Brahmana, you fall down. Actually, there's one lecture. The title of the lecture, I was looking at it today. That what is the title of this lecture? His Holiness Bhakti Swami. He has a lecture called Dear Devotees, Don't Try to Become Brahmanas. Because anyways, Maharaj was making the point that pretty much this symbol of Brahmanas has another lecture called a Brahmana badge of prestige. So, you want to strive, yes, in ISKCON, yes. I'm a Brahmana. I have my sacred thread. I can perform Abhishek during the festivals. I can perform Abhishek as a badge of prestige. But you're not actually carrying out the duties of a Brahmana, right? So you're striving for this material position, which is necessary. I want to very clarify before I make this point that it's not that Brahmana is not necessary in society. Although a Vaishnava is higher than a Brahmana, right? And although a Vaishnava is already a Brahmana, it's not that we don't need Brahmanas in society. We still need these different distinctions of Brahmana, Sattva, Vaishya, Sudra. These distinctions are still important for Varnashram Dharma, right? Even though a Vaishnava is above a Brahmana, the social position of Brahmana is still necessary because they have a certain function. They have a certain function. Like, it's not that Arjuna was a Kshatriya, but it's not like, oh, he's a Kshatriya, but he didn't have Brahminical qualifications. Actually, he's considered because he had compassion. Probably makes a point in that he although Arjun was having all this false arguments why he shouldn't fight, probably makes the point that this is a saintly behavior. He has so much compassion. He has so much compassion for those and his relatives and his friends. Prabhupada says this is the character of a Vaishnava, of a sadhu. He's a sadhu. He's a Vaishnava. He's had misunderstanding as far as his duties. So it's not that Arjun's a Kshatriya, but he's not. He has no Brahminical qualifications. No, he's a Vaishnava, but although he's carrying out his duties as a Kshatriya, he still has the Brahminical qualifications. So every Vaishnava, whether you're a Brahmana, Kshatriya, a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra, they should all be cultivating this Brahminical qualifications. It's not that, because I'm a Vaishya or a Sudra, I don't need to cultivate Brahminical qualifications. No. But naturally, they come naturally by being a Vaishnava, these Brahminical qualifications automatically aroused. However, yes, like I was saying, the point I'm making, the Brahmanas are necessary in society. However, we shouldn't be attached to that. Yes, I'm a Brahmana. I am a Brahmana. I have these. I don't know what just happened.
Did they leave?
I'm not sure what just happened. Then they left.
We're still
Over
here.
here.
No, they're there.
What happened? I don't know myself.
Rishi Kumar.
Yeah, I left it on my phone.
Oh, but usually you can see them though. You can only see myself.
Yeah, I pinned you guys so that
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, no worries.
you're on
Okay, no
spotlight.
problem. Okay, no problem, bro.
All right.
Yeah, anyways, the point I'm making, so the point I'm making is that this badge of prestige, it's just another form of being materialistic, actually. Like, so it's very imperative for those who are in the Brahminical status of life that they act in such a way that the other, that's the real point of the Brahmana, is to act in such a way that the other Varnas, they look up to them. The Brahmana has a great duty actually, because they are considered the head of society. They're the intellectuals. They're supposed to provide guidance to the other different Varnas and ashramas, you know. So the Brahmana, the duty of a Brahmana, they have a great weight on their shoulders actually, because, you know, like as I quoted before, whatever action the Brahmana performs, the rest of the Varnas, they follow them. So it's not a joke. This and that's why His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj is not so inclined to give Brahminical initiation to anybody and everybody, because he wants to see if you're actually going to be living like a Brahmana, right? Traditionally, the duties of a Brahmana would be, you know, preaching, deity worship, cooking for the deity. Pretty much, they're all centered around worship of the deity, right? The Brahmana, the duties are primarily focused around serving the deity. Traditionally speaking, even Chaitanya Charitamrita Prabhupada writes that even in India now, even today, Brahmanas, they worship Shalagram Shila in their home, because it's inextricably linked with the Brahminical culture's worship of Shalagram Shila and Krishna in the form of deity. So it's like, you know, you want to give Brahminical initiation, however, you're lacking in these principles, peacefulness, tolerance, and you're not worshiping the deity. But the thing is not like, okay, you know, those pujaris are more exalted than the preachers. It's not like that. Actually, by going out and preaching is also, no, after we preach, what do? We send our scores to, we say our scores to the deity. It's still service to the deity. It's not like, oh, because I'm Pujari, I'm the real Brahmin. I'm worshiping the deity while you're just preaching. This is the rascaldom. Actually, Lord Chaitanya, he had, I forget the name, I think it was Raghunandan, Mukunda, and I forget the other. But he had 3 of his associates come to him, right? One was working, one was a pujari, another one was a preacher. And he gave them all different instructions. He said, you know, Raghunandan, you serve the devotees and you preach. Huh? I think Narayana is like her. But I know Satyaraj, he told Narayana, he saw Satyaraj, he said, Satyaraj, you're working, you continue working, however, you serve the Vaishnavas. And then he told, I think it's, I don't forget the other one, but he told him you engage in deity worship. And Prabhupada makes the point that, you know, although all of them are the associates of the Lord gave him different functions. He gave him different duties to carry out. So a Brahmana, they have different duties, but ultimately it's all focused on serving the deity, serving the Vaishnavas. And Prabhupada is making this point in his purport today. Krishna. Yeah, so Prabhupada is making the point today that it should be noted that the glories of the Brahmana described in this chapter by Lord himself refer to the devotee Brahmana or the Vaishnava. And yeah, it says in the literature, in the Rig mantra hymns of the Rig Veda, it says that those who are actually Brahmanas always look to the lotus feet of Vishnu. So those who are actually Brahmanas, they always look to the lotus feet of Vishnu for protection. They always, like Sudama Brahmana, as I mentioned earlier, they're always looking to the lotus feet of Vishnu as their sustenance. They don't need a big house. They don't need all this opulence in land, because, you know, ultimately the greatest opulence is surrender, is their unalloyed surrender to Krishna. That is their opulence. And they're glorious for that. They're glorious for their unalloyed surrender. That is opulence. By being renounced, it's one of those opulences is renunciation. It's an opulence. It's very attractive. So Brahmanas should cultivate this renunciation, but not just Brahmanas, Vaishnavas in general. All Vaishnavas specifically. So in this talk, I've been speaking kind of, I've been muddying the waters a little bit. I was going to clarify, yes, you have the Brahmanas in the Varnashram Dharma, but then as Prabhupada mentioned today in the purport, that a Vaishnava is already considered a Brahmana, right? So whether you have a thread or not, the point is, as a Vaishnava, you have to still cultivate this. You have to cultivate this renunciation. You have to cultivate always looking to the lotus feet of Vishnu as your protection. But specifically, Brahmanas, though, who have this sacred thread, His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami makes the point that upanayam, when they get this upanayam can also be translated as coming closer to the Guru, right? So when you get this Brahminical initiation, you come closer to the guru, you come closer to the spiritual master. And he, by coming closer to him, he imparts his knowledge unto you. Tatvidi pranipani paripashnina sevaya. By rendering service unto him and being inquisitive, he will impart the truth to you because he's seen the absolute truth. And he realizes the absolute truth is Krishna, and he imparts his knowledge unto you, and he'll guide you accordingly. So as Vaishnavas, we have to come to a higher standard of life. We shouldn't remain in this Sudra consciousness, this consciousness of ignorance. Brahmana means you're in the mode of goodness. You're in the mode of goodness. You're situated in the mode of goodness. Brahmana means maintaining that mode of goodness, maintaining this culture of cleanliness, internal and external. Always, Prabhupada writes that internal cleanness is chanting Hare Krishna, and outward cleanness, bathing 3 times a day, shaving, whatever. But it's very important. A Brahmana who's not clean is not really a Vaishnava who's not clean. A Vaishnava who's not clean is not cultivating this Brahminical culture. They're cultivating the Sudra culture. This Sudra culture, waking up, not brushing your teeth, just being molded out, maybe bathing once in a week. I have a brother who used to do that. Like, bro, you stink, bro. Like, do you not? He literally would not bathe. He'd bathe like every other day or something. It's ridiculous, bro. This straight Sudra is disgusting culture, But Brahmanas, especially Vaishnava Brahmanas, are expected to cultivate this culture of cleanliness and this culture of austerity and renunciation. Because you cannot even come to Krishna without being situated in this mode of goodness, because from goodness is springboard to the purified goodness, Suddha Sattva. So it's a pretty short class today. But I think I hit all the points in today's purport. Anybody has any comments or anything?
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask, just as a thing, can you reference any places? I know obviously everything you're saying is no problem. I was just saying that I was just wanting to know if you can reference, if you have any other references within Shastra, whether it's Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, where this is also implied or directly said.
What is it? What exactly?
That Brahmana, that a Vaishnava is higher than a Brahmana, or
It's the whole thing about this.
there's a whole PDF that's like 200 pages long where he's like goes over this elaborately.
Well, I mean,
You don't have to quote it like in terms of Sanskrit. If you just can remember any, I was just kind of. There's a famous
Not on the
quote.
top of my head, but just reading Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada makes the point a lot how these caste brahmanas in India, he makes this point a lot, especially in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He makes the point of how these caste brahmanas in India are degraded because they cannot appreciate the activities of the Krishna conscious movement. And Prabhupada makes the point constantly how these Western Vaishnavas are greater than these caste brahmanas. He makes it like so many times, like because I made this point in my class. Prabhupada got a lot of backlash after giving Westerners diksha and even second initiation. Where Prabhupada says, "I'm just following the mood of my spiritual master," because even Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur himself, he would give this second initiation to people who weren't traditionally in this Brahmana caste, and he got so much backlash. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur got so much backlash from it. But Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur also made the point that, you're not a Brahmana by your caste, it's by your qualification. But because they're Vaishnavas, they're considered higher than these caste Brahmanas. So it's so many instances as far as just Prabhupada mentioning his own criticisms, how he's making these Western Vaishnavas, but how his Western disciples are more glorious than these caste Brahmanas. So I mean, it's so many instances. Like I said, I don't know if there's a verse. You said there's a PDF or something. Did you say
There's
that?
a whole PDF by Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. He wrote a 200 page book because the Brahmanas were going against him. So he was challenging them. So he worked this book and he went and smashed them completely to the ground with all of these verses from Shastra. So one thing I was just thinking, because I've been trying to think like this more, because Mukunda Datta Prabhu's lectures kind of really inspire me to like also have this vision also, is that everything is centered around Shastra. So whatever the Guru is speaking is around Shastra. So we should also see, yes, Srila Prabhupada's words are very, for us, that's the total. There's nothing more than, for us, that's all we need. Prabhupada said it, we follow it, because that is our position of surrender, because we know he's following Shastra. But if we can learn to also directly reference Shastra and then back everything up with Guru, okay, here's the reference from Shastra, this is what Guru is saying, and this is why it's connected to that. It helps us kind of deepen our own faith and also the faith of others also. And then when we come upon challenges, it's not that, we have to become like full on, like, it's nice to know some basic, if we're speaking about these things, it's like, and I myself am not so good at it, but I was just this is just a thought that I was having, was that, like, just to be able to reference even a few verses or something in our minds to reconcile all of those things that are directly coming from verses from the Bhagavatam or Gita or Chaitanya Charitamrita, just to have that down.
I have so I was actually thinking about this, but this in the Padma Purana, Lord Shiva says Aradhanam Sarvesham Vishnu Aradhanam Param Tashmat Parataram Devi Dadiyanam Samarchanam, that of all types of worship of Lord Vishnu is best, and better than the worship of Lord Vishnu is worship of his devotee, the Vaishnava. Right? So that's Shastra. So pretty much, that's saying that the Vaishnava, the worship of, it doesn't say the worship of the Brahmana, it says the worship of the Vaishnava is higher than Lord Vishnu. And this is in the Padma Purana. But then, like you said, things you have something in the Shastra, but then the purport is also scripture. Prabhupada, he would cite that so many times, and he would explain what that means.
Right.
But that's one verse I'm thinking about that does say that. It doesn't specifically say that I don't know. Is there an actual verse that says that the Vaishnava is better than the Brahmana?
Yeah, there's a few. Did you see that one about the dog eater? That the dog
eater.
Yeah,
that's a specific one that I came to mind straight away. That Prahlad Maharaj, he says that.
Oh,
that if a Brahmana has all the 12 qualities,
and
there's a verse to the lotus feet of the Lord. He's certainly lower than a devotee who is a dog eater.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But who has dedicated everything. So this is like, and Prabhupada, in that he writes that people are criticizing our Krishna consciousness movement, such and such. The European and American devotees in Krishna consciousness movement are sometimes accepted as Brahmanas. But the so-called caste Brahmanas are very much envious of them. So one thing I was thinking about is Srila Prabhupada said, when a Vaishnava speaks, there's a direct reference to Shastra, to everything he says. So it's also important for us to see, because what Prabhupada is speaking there is directly in Shastra. And so then we can see that and try to examine, and it'll help our intelligence become, broader. It was just thing I was thinking that I'm not so good myself, but it was a point. And then I'll be in the last couple of classes, sometimes I've been referencing these. In the 18th chapter, it never really kind of came upon me until we started thinking about Varnashram more, and how Krishna is making this point that by worshipping a Lord who is the source of all beings and who is all-pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work. Now, just previously to this, he's gone through all of the different qualities of Vaishya, from Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So then he says that a man can attain perfection through performing his own work. And then he goes on to say that it is better to, or before that even, again, he emphasizes this twice actually, by following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done. And then Krishna says, by worshipping the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all-pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work. He says it again. And then he says it again. He says that it is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. So 3 times back to back, Krishna is saying, just do your work. Don't try to do someone else's work. Do your work to work. And as long as you're dedicated to the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, you'll have perfection. Don't doubt it. Don't doubt. Just hear this instruction. And we see this a lot. Tat Shirnu comes again and again in the Bhagavad Gita. So just listen to what I'm saying. Don't let go of your duties, Arjuna. Just engage in the same thing. Don't try to become a Brahmana. Don't try to become an ascetic. Don't do this. You'll just lose yourself. That's all. You'll incur sinful reactions actually. Because why does he make the point? Just prescribe duties according to one's nature and never affected by sinful reaction. But if you try to do someone else's duty and you do it wrong, it says it's better to do your own duty wrong because you won't be overcome by sin. So it's just again the same point. You're saying that women diksha gurus, this this and that. Just understand what your position is by karma and by your guna and karma, and engage in that work, and this perfection guaranteed. And Guru Maharaj was saying in that lecture, why is this necessary right now? What does women gurus gonna do for the movement of Krishna consciousness right now? Nothing. It's actually people are going against that. This whole there's an underlying movement that's coming about. It's that everybody's against this feminism and all of this. Actually, those who are intelligent are extremely against this nonsense of all of this that's going on, all of this trans and all of this weird stuff that's going on, and women's rights and going too far. All of this it's actually there's those who are intelligent are against this. So have some intelligence, at least whatever material intelligence they have. So it's just people don't. I'm making that point again, is that people think we're just transcendental, but Vaishnava doesn't mean that we're transcendental to work. We're transcendental to if we practice properly, we become transcendental to that work affecting us.
Yes, yeah.
That we're not influenced by the modes of material nature. A Vaishnava is not influenced by the modes of material nature. That work is transcendental. Yeah. He's not, just because he's doing that work doesn't mean that he is actually a lower thing. He's actually in the highest platform, perfection, siddhim. Krishna says, you're siddhi. So then, how can somebody say now you're actually lower and higher? No, he's siddhim. Whatever siddhim means, he's attained perfection. There's nothing more. So it's just interesting within our movement how the philosophy is being understood. I've come across this recently, and I just think it's really amazing that this understanding of how devotees are transcendental in accordance with Varnashram is the perfect understanding of actually Krishna consciousness. And Guru Maharaj is saying that because the leaders of the Krishna consciousness movement are neglecting understanding Srila Prabhupada's idea of Varnashram, Srila Prabhupada's implementation of Varnashram, it's just going to go to hell, our movement, because it just becomes sahaja actually. It becomes sahaja, it becomes cheap. I mean, that's what sahaja is, cheap. It becomes just, prakrita, just material. Because people are trying, those who are not qualified to become a certain, take the position of a teacher and such, they're trying to take that position. And so they perform it imperfectly, or try to perform it perfectly, but they can't because they're not on that level. And so then what happens? Sin, then what do you see? That yoga nashta parantapa, what does sin do? It destroys dharma. So people are not, and then women are trying to perform duties that they're not supposed to perform by Shastra, for Shastric standards. They're not on that level either. It's like, Guru Maharaj is saying, why do you want to be guru? You don't just sit there and get your feet washed. That's not what it means to be guru.
Jai Guru Devi.
Jai Guru Devi.
Guru Devi, Jai Guru Devi. I'm glad you brought this up. I was actually thinking about this because I showed Abhi and Rishi this Narayani Devi Dasi. She's like the first female dish guru, whatever. So she was saying, it was a podcast, and she was saying like, yeah, I'm having a lot of support in India. She was like 99% of people support me, but I'm still banned from temples. I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. you banned from temples, but they support you. That makes a lot of sense. But anyway, this was really, I got fried out. She was like, yeah, right now in India, she cited some like politician. She said, yeah, this politician in India, his main agenda is to uplift the poor classes and the women class. And she was like, if they're doing that in India, why not let women guide them as well as being gurus? And if you think about it, her whole argument, like you said, is not based on Sastra. It's based on the agenda of materialists. It's literally based... Anyways, it's literally her whole argument on why there should be female Diksha gurus is based on the fact that this freaking Karmi politician wants it to happen.
It's so crazy.
It's crazy as hell. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like where in the sastra are you getting this from? That she cites some karmi sastra and says, oh, because they're doing it, it must be done.
What the hell? Following the footsteps of Karma.
You follow this some karmi politician in India, and then like it's funny because they quote Prabhupada as being some like nice, angelic. He's very soft, but Prabhupada, so many news channels you can see is they would ask a position woman. He would say yes, they're less intelligent. They should serve their husbands. So many different
So many
times.
times.
So many times. He said, what should women do? So many times, duty of women is to serve the husband on TV, on public TV. But they won't cite this. They won't cite this whole the Prabhupada that they claim wants this. They won't cite the fact that they say no. Their duty is to serve the husband. So like that's a good point you're making is that when you don't base your principles and your teaching on sastra, deviations just come about, and it's very dangerous actually.
Yeah, they won't cite that. Never trust a woman or a politician by Chanakya there.
They won't never cite this. They'll never cite this. They will never cite this at all. Like, it's really,
No, but Chanaka's talking about karmi women. Devotee women are different.
That's why Prabhupada quoted it.
Devotee women are different. They're Vaishnavis.
They've overcome their nature.
I like that point that Chandan, you were saying that what is it? Oh, that this isn't even popular anymore. This idea of feminism and all this. If they look at the way things are going, because the whole idea is let's do things that the karmis are more into now. Let's merge with the karmis. But the karmis aren't even into this right now. And then,
Our devotional society. Sorry, go ahead.
in one of those videos where Maharaj was speaking about this, he was saying that one solution could be for the leaders who are, debating about this thing back and forth and making decisions, to pass it on to the next generation of devotees in Krishna consciousness. And we see that makes a lot of sense because, like you were saying, the whole reason for this, it's for an outdated trend. Like, yeah, but anyways, if it's given to the next generation, then they would have some idea of, okay, actually people aren't so bent up about these issues now, like feminism and this woke stuff and all that's going out of style. Let's actually, if people want the karmis to be interested, well, let's see what's actually a better way to get them interested. They're not at all interested in this feminism stuff anymore. So anyway, I just thought that was a nice point that I mean, I don't want to be rude or anything, but if everything is like, okay, only the very old leaders will decide something, then it's very odd. Like if you see in the Bhagavatam, the whole chapters with Prithu Maharaj, you hear many explanations about there how a leader is supposed to be like a young, strong personality who can take on the opposition. So old people who are very old aren't supposed to just hang on to their post, but it's supposed to be passed on. So you see that principle talked about there in the Bhagavatam. I just thought that was a good example of it. You were saying how this thing that they're interested in isn't even a trend anymore.
I've noticed that just being in management also that you should get out when you're like, after like a certain point, because you start to lose. You should just start focusing on Krishna consciousness and preaching and helping the devotees that are already in. But you should let the younger people who are devotees try to bring in more people. Let them decide. Let them figure out what is the right thing to do, and also keep them in line in that the principles should be maintained. Whatever you do, the principles of devotion service cannot be changed. The details can be adjusted to some extent, but the principles should be maintained, and that's the duty of those who grow. As they preach, they learn what it means to preach, that yes, of course, there's always some adjustment is required, just like we may, sit amongst, even brahmacharis we may not divide men and women on a preaching program, but at the temple, there's no question of that. So yes, there's some adjustments here and there, and that young people need to kind of be given that. And we notice that, like sometimes we're like dealing with older Prabhupada disciples, you can't move at all. You can't move them. The movement won't go forward because there's some things that just, we need to kind of like do an experiment with, and they're not into it at all. And so, and at the same time, we've also noticed that, hearing from Guru Maharaj, who is like the perfect way a devotee should actually, an older devotee should actually guide a project. He lets us make the decisions in terms of how we want to go about certain things, but he makes sure that we're grounded in the proper principles. He doesn't micromanage us. He doesn't, and he lets us, we're always in touch with him. And it's always, we've found like, wow, this is like he's such a, insightful person into being able to see that, okay, he's not on the field, so he's not going to give certain advice that, may not be super practical sometimes for us. But he sees that he's inculcated certain principles of Srila Prabhupada's mood and mission into us as a whole, team, and that we will follow that out. And then he guides us on certain things, and we get advice and move forward like that. And we're finding that tradition is what people want, actually. People want a real traditional life. They want a happy family. They want children. You just think about it, like, who wants this feministic nonsense? Like, who wants that crap where you go home and your wife is your competitor? Who wants that? No sane man wants that. No, and the men are the leaders of society. No matter how you want to put it, a woman is always dependent on a man. A woman cannot live without a man. She always, if she wants to go forward in anything, a man is required.
If there's any like women like GBC, the men gave him those, right? Or...
That's what a lot of the points are made like that also. Yeah, it's like the men built all the roads, the infrastructure, everything together, and the women want to come in and say, well, I deserve it too. Is that all right? Okay, go build the roads.
Even the idea of feminism was founded by men.
Yeah.
Everything practically is. Anyways.
The idea of feminism, Bhagavatam says that Bhagavad Gita Prabhupada writes, unscrupulous men invent ways by which they can exploit women. So men invented the feminism idea in order to exploit them, and they're so stupid, unintelligent, that they can't understand that actually this feminism is just it's how you exploit, the women are getting exploited, and the men have created that.
Yeah, like a lot of these doctrines that they quote, or that that's some like the founding principles come from. At least I know like one. There was this name that came up as John Stuart Mill. I saw some article, and I don't know. I was like, where's this feminism even like really stemming from? This is like 1850s. Anyways, this is like a man, who came up with this doctrine, and it kind of gave some of the. I remember how I got into this because I was wondering, modern feminism is like completely different from like even what feminism started out as anyway. So it's like completely, totally like morphed into this nonsense.
Oh yeah, it's not even the same.
It's not even the same feminism that we're talking about now.
Before it was like they wanted like get voting rights, and they wanted to like whatever being selected as jurors. Now feminism is like my body, my choice. If I want to if I want to walk around naked, then it's my body. It's like, bro, this is not what feminism was.
The new feminism is built
crazy,
like the principles that even the original feminism was still like horrible. Like it's like
I'm not defending that, but yeah, it's not even the same.
Yeah,
it's just it's degraded more is my point. It's got it even worse.
What was ecstatic with that email that Mataji wrote to Guru Maharaj?
Oh, conservative Vaishnavi.
Yeah,
you see the new video by Gumaraj from mine that was of GBC when he was talking about like anyway, there's like a bunch of videos that dropped, but
really?
he was talking about there's like 5 or 6 videos by Gumaraj. They're like most of them are like a few minutes long. If you look on the BBKS thing, but he speaks about different things, these different topics. Like, and at one point he was making was that okay, we're doing this because we think that we get women, the comments will be happy because like the whole trend is like equality, but then we have to give equality to trannies. We'll have to give transgender gurus. Then we'll have to give homosexual gurus. But then he was like, say 20 years down the line, we're like, conservative, like that's not like popular, so we have to switch it back. So he was saying it's not really proper. But Guru Maharaj has these new videos. You should check them out. They're really nice.
Oh, they're on the ISKCON India Scholar Board. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Indian. It's pretty ecstatic. Yeah.
If I could, just a small comment if we have time, because Janan, you were saying about how Guru Maharaj is so expert in managing, and he won't like try to micromanage or give practical advice if he's not directly I guess involved in a situation, or it's like all the points may not be stated directly or they're not clear. You also see that in Uttar Pradesh, he'll give principles And if he knows like a little bit more about what's going on in the situation, then he'll give that advice where it's needed. But he won't, I don't want to say overstep. Maybe that's not the best word, but he won't insert himself where it's like where he doesn't see it's like necessary. So that's just another thing. This is on another note. I liked that point you were making, Navani-Hoda Prabhu, about not being attached. We were talking about like in book distribution, we hear that a lot. Of course, you can't be. We're not after results. We're not after results. We're not after results. But even with like this farm project, like you said, it'll be successful, but we might not be around to see the success that it'll have.
Yeah,
Even,
yeah.
like, there's Prabhupada disciples who come and they are so happy. They're like, we never would have imagined. We're so grateful and like happy to be able to see the level of book distribution that's going on, versus when we were distributing books and when we were younger, for example. But there's a lot of Prabhupada disciples who've left their bodies and they didn't get to see, not like, oh, like this is like the peak of course is always going to be ever increasing, but there's a lot of people who have left who didn't get to see book distribution come to this stage. So the same thing it can end up being a case where we don't see the level of success that this farm will have.
That we want. Like it might seem, yeah, that we want. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, only reason I said that point because I gotta tell myself that like it's gonna be some austerity, it's gonna be some austerity definitely, but it's like that austerity is. I think that once we keep the idea that we're just doing this to pleasure Gumaraj, and then it's like whether 1,000 people come in our lifetime or not. I mean, our success is the pleasure of our guru. That's really the success. Like our guru is pleased with us, and I think somebody was saying this, but in the instruction comes potency. So it's like he gives us an instruction to do it, and then he'll give us the potency to do it as well. Like it might not come right when it happens, but it's gonna come eventually. But if it does or doesn't, we're just trying to carry our duty. That's all we can do.
Some Siddhi Hari Toshanam.
Yeah, some Siddhi Hari Toshanam.
I wish there was I don't have like a direct reference for this, unfortunately, but I remember talking to Hota Prabhu and he was making this point that when the acharyas want, like, when they desire something, their desires are never frustrated. So out that task that's given, somebody else will. So we should have, that vision should also be there. Not that it's like, oh well, I can just sit back and relax and enjoy now, but anyways, the mission will go on. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
All right, Bruce.
We're taking our day off today, Prabhu.
Oh, okay. Down the live.
Okay, that sounds good.
John Bhagavatam ki jai.
All right.
So tomorrow, wait. Oh, let's stop the live stream. Tomorrow we will not